Hello. So we seem to be living in the midst of crazy crisis with all coronavirus, and it seems to be expanding, and it seems to be going places that none of us could have imagined, with flight cancellations, freedom of movement restrictions, and so on. And it's very, very easy in those situations to get pessimistic and cynical about it. Now, we've made you a video which offers an alternative view of how to deal and survive through crisis periods. And of course, all of us come from the background of using solution-focused approach in our line of work. We met at the trainers conference, so those of us who train others in solution-focused approach, and we had a chat around it. So I made you a little video. Hope you guys can make some use of it. Let me know in your comments your thoughts, much appreciated, and spread the word, because we could either go down, join the rest of the world panicking, being afraid and feeling hopeless, or we could do watch the video. Cheers.
And sometimes it goes about interesting times, we're in transformation time, stuff like that. And I think that's something in it, and things like viruses and natural thing that's happening, and the world is changing whatsoever, if you can. So maybe for me it's an invitation on thinking about how we perceive it. What are we observing? Not doing the shaman healing thing, but how can SF and an SF stance can be useful in this new ages?
In this new age.
Something like that.
The context of crisis appeals very much to me. In these circumstances when someone or a small system or even a larger system is in an acute period of crisis where they don't have access to their own resources. And if you tell them maybe you can do that what you have done before, it doesn't work at this point. So what can we do in a solution-focused way to reconnect people with resources in a period of being disconnected from resources? And I think in terms of crisis, it's another way of being disconnected to resources.
Then you move up the flowchart.
That's one way.
Okay.
Go. No, it's the Italian situation, of course, because this morning they got a new law that they are closing the whole northern part of Italy, and the people cannot go out or go in. And all the things have cancelled. They cannot even have funerals or weddings or no happenings. And they need to keep 1 meter distance, and it's not so easy for Italians. And so many things. But it's also economical thing, because in my team who are building now my new house there are some people from northern part, so they need to decide today if they go back there or stay out for a month. And that's not so easy because they cannot get any money. So the crisis is economical, really, and a big thing, because they don't get any money from anywhere. And what to do, and people are they don't have any hope because all the tourists are cancelled. Of course they cannot come, they don't have any clients in agritourismus, restaurant, taxis, whatever, so it's crazy situation.
Okay.
I mean, my first thing that comes to mind is to talk with those leaders and then just facilitate that conversation with them and have them experience it and then explain what you just did. So kind of reflect on that with them. So if you have all these leaders who are thinking, what do we do? How do we handle this? Well, how are we going to respond? say, okay, well, if you were handling it the best way possible for you and your community, how would you know? And then kind of carry on the conversation from there. And then so that way they're experiencing it, that has a knock-on benefit, and then you can backtrack and just talk about what you were doing, and then they can go and do the same.
Okay.
The focus maybe is on the surviving, how to survive the situation. So maybe the coping questions has more importance in this kind of situations.
Okay.
So, what I was reflecting on is that there's a lot we can't do at that point. We can't ask our usual questions, we can't. But there are things we can do.
Yeah.
Being there, being silent, listen, share our own emotions, share ideas, and that's doing something. And I think in the midst of a crisis, maybe that's the most useful thing to do. And all the rest has to wait.
And that I sometimes think it's so interesting what kind of growth or what kind of use people make out of these restrictions. What kind of new ideas come up, how to move forward, what is still working from the SF, and creating also new connections. So, and coming to training, then I immediately think of, okay, if communication lines still work, all these kind of telephone crisis line instructions which are in SF, or webinars or things like that could still be possible even if people live very, very far from each other or could not go and leave their houses.
Well, fortunately, there's good governance, good trusted government that has a long track record of preparing in advance. So, although there was an initial panic and people run to the stores, and some people foolishly buy all the noodles and the Maggie Mee and the toilet paper and the masks, but quickly it became evident, okay, this is ridiculous. And the media and calmer, wiser heads, responded and said, oh, come on, let's calm down. But what helped is the leaders, starting with the Prime Minister and then appropriate members of Parliament who were responsible and involved and aware, very quickly informed what the current status was and set up lines of communication. So everyone could go to the website, and then the website said, if you want to get your WhatsApp update every day, 2 or 3 times a day, sign up. So every day, anybody who really wants to gets a WhatsApp on the current status. The exact numbers, what we know about those numbers, their connection to the previous initial infections, any that are yet unknown and we're still trying to find. And so with that kind of reassurance, and then we know which communities, which church, which government club, which business meeting, and the current number of cases that have been tested, the current number of cases that are now in hospital, the ones who are in critical condition, the ones who are better and released. So you get that every day, and that's reassuring. And so then wiser heads calm everybody down. And you could just feel, okay, this is serious, but we can observe these practices under these still stressful situations to minimize further hurt. So I'm a part of a church community, and so everybody's, oh no, we should cancel. So some groups immediately wanted to cancel. Thankfully, our group, no one was personally affected, even though we have people in our church who work in the hospital that's famous for containing SARS and currently working with live cases now. We actually have people appointed and frontline work. We also have someone in another hospital who's head of childhood infectious disease. So all of our doctors said, no, calm down. They showed up for public, church meetings, but we have the proper stuff to clean your hands.
1 meter distance.
And take your temperature and do what helps and calm down. And then our SF training was affected. So we convened a Zoom meeting with all those who could meet to find out their preference. Given the situation, many trainings in the city are canceled. What do you want to do? And they had the choice. We could cancel, and we would understand that. We didn't want to pressure them anyway. And we could create Zoom training if they wish. But all of them chose to continue the training.
And we cannot forget them. These things are there. Of course they are. And we need to work together, as you told. Very multi-level cooperation all the time. We cannot stay alone in our solution-focused bubbles.
When I'm in a train and the train gets stuck and nobody knows why, you feel like, and it triggers panic, and it triggers, nobody is taking care of us. But when the connection works at different levels, either with touch, either with news or whatever, then it helps to lessen, or when you're burned out and need support.
So how to deal with the situation around this coronavirus thing? I actually think there's two aspects here. One is the medical, and of course take good care of yourself, wash your hands, and you know what you're supposed to do to be careful and take good care of yourselves. But actually there's other sicknesses around, which can be actually more dangerous than coronavirus. So basically I find for myself the main challenge is not the medical aspect, but this mass hysteria, I think I would like to call it like that, created around it. And actually I find it difficult for myself to keep my spirits up and to keep my mental resilience, my joy, my energy, and that is the greatest and the greater challenge for myself. And if this might be helpful for anyone, I'm really happy to share what I'm trying to do to cope with this situation. I come from Hungary, by the way. One is really focus on good, small, doable steps that I can do, which are possible for myself, for my family, in my work, whatever, and try not to give them up. That's one thing. Another thing is really look for little signs of, I don't know, of promise and progress, actually good signs. And my son helps me tremendously because on a daily basis he comes back home with the coronavirus jokes, really, which come out of the absurdity of, for instance, the Hungarian hospital system, and really good representation of the absurdity of the situation, and it really keeps me going, and we have huge laughs at the situation, at how people react, how people went to the shops on a Wednesday in Budapest and they basically bought everything that they found there. Okay. A third thing is actually I'm I'm trying to find the meaning. So what if this coronavirus thing and even this big logistics and organizational change around it is somehow helpful? And actually, it was again my son who read somewhere that, okay, there's this quarantine in China and it's becoming a lengthy institution. Production work slowing down and even coming to a standstill. And the air in China is becoming noticeably cleaner. Carbon dioxide emissions coming down. So what if this whole coronavirus thing is helping us teaching us to slow down and really focus on our families more, focus on our health more, focus on balance more, focus on sustainability more, focus on life more, for Christ's sake. So that's where I am at the moment. And another thing, the fourth thing, connect. So really connect to valuable stuff, connect to people you like, because the connection, the communication really gives me at least a lot of energy and a lot of warmth and a lot of help. So I don't know, go back to the basics.